Looking to have your day brightened up? You're in the right place. Welcome to the Hashtag Positivity Podcast with Jason D.
Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast. My guests today are from an organization called Unify Against Bullying, and they're helping to give children a voice to stand up against bullying. Susanna, Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Happy to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
So just a little bit of a disclaimer for you guys. We are recording today from the kitchen table at the Zemba household. So any pause that you hear walking across the ground, that is just the pet. It's not anything to worry about. Matt can maybe clean that up in the editing studio. But why don't you guys give us a little bit of a history about yourselves, introduce yourselves, and just say what your roles are with Unify.
Sure. So my name is Susanna Zemba. I'm one of the founding members of Unify Against Bullying. And at this point right now, I'm also the vice chair of the organization.
All right. And Chris?
My name is Christine Maywald. I'm the new executive director. I was one of the founding board members and board member for 2 years until I accepted this position, which I'm very excited about.
And how long have you been in the role that you're in now?
Probably about a month and a half.
Yeah.
A month and a half.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So just getting the swing of things.
Yes.
But you've been around for longer than that. You were with Unify prior, so.
Yes, 2 years as a board member.
Okay, that's great.
And Chris brings a lot of experience, as she is a huge advocate for charities and philanthropy, so she is well suited for the position.
Well, that's great. You guys are going to have success no matter who's on board, but I know that you're going to bring that extra level. So why don't Susanna? Why don't you talk about how Unify got started? Was there an event that triggered this? Was this something that you've been passionate about for a long time? So
yes. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a one event. I mean, we've all experienced bullying. My children have experienced bullying. So it wasn't that it was one event, but I think a culmination of just talking to other children and parents and administrators, everybody who has experienced bullying at one point or another. Where it really started was with my husband's company, Robert Charles Photography, where we do a modeling program for our high school seniors, and the kids have always asked us about doing a fashion show of sorts, and my husband and my brother-in-law, who was also one of the owners, we weren't really into doing the typical fashion show of kids on stage, all one size, one look, and so the kids, our models helped us come up with the idea of, well, what about if we did a fashion show that represented kids of all shapes, sizes, styles, ethnicities, physical abilities, sexual orientation? What if we broke the mold of what fashion shows are about? And, we got really excited about it, and we said, wow, that's awesome. And that's how Unify itself was born, because the kids helped us come up with the word Unify. To them, it meant unique individuals inspiring future youth.
And that's incredible that the kids came up with that on their own. So many times we don't give children credit that they deserve, and we think, they're just tied up in their phones or video games, or, they're not interested in things like that. They want to be fashionable or on the cusp of whatever's new. But stuff like that is awesome. It's so great that the children. Yeah.
And it was very inspiring. My husband and I, we were actually, meeting with the kids, and we were very inspired. We're like, wow, that's amazing. And of course, if you've ever been on any type of committee of sorts, it takes committees like 10, it takes them like a month just to come up with a date,
right.
Let alone an idea like that.
Yep.
I mean, that came out in one evening, like over an hour, and it was amazing. So with that in mind, we decided, yes, let's do this fashion show. Let's unify. Let's do this. And so we did our first fashion show in 2015, and the kids really wanted us to find a charity that was based on what the premise of the fashion show was all about, celebrating diversity. As we all know, being different is what sometimes brings attention from the bullies, to pick on you just because you're too tall or too short, or
it doesn't have to be a negative. It's just different, and as long as you're outside of the mold, that gives them some ammo. So
and that's exactly it. So the kids were like, to them, bullying is a very prevalent epidemic in the schools, and they're not able to talk about it. They're not able to do anything about it for multiple reasons, because you don't want to get picked on even more. You don't want to be singled out. So, long story short, because I can go on for days.
That's okay.
We did try to find a charity that we felt would represent all the communities, not just one. And the challenge was that there wasn't really one charity that represented all communities. There were a lot of wonderful charities out there, or a lot of organizations and programs for anti-bullying, but they represent maybe just this area or that area. Right. They're not necessarily trying to hit all of Western Massachusetts, which is what we were looking for. And that's when we decided, by some let's say, helpful advice from a lot of our business owners and friends, Chris included, who just said, you know what, I think it's time. I think it's time that we start our own charity out here in Western Mass that will represent all the kids from all the communities. And that's what that charity is really all about.
That's awesome. And I didn't realize that the fashion show came before the charity. That's something that I'm just learning now. So that's pretty neat. So you wanted to do something and you made it happen in sort of a roundabout way, but that's awesome. And so you said 2015 was the first fashion show. How old were the kids that came up with this?
So the kids were high school seniors.
High school just all doing their photos.
Yep, they were part of our modeling program. And the modeling program is just it's a way for the kids to, have their pictures taken, and then we would use them for our, advertising and whatnot. And, we always did fun events, but they really wanted to see something different done out here. So that's where the fashion show started. So 2015 was our first fashion show, and actually Chris and her husband were guests at that show, and after that show is when they were like, okay, you guys got something here. We got to figure out how to make this, go. So
we were really excited about it. We were there as attendees, and we were so moved. The two of us sat there with tears in our eyes in the audience. The thing we loved the most was that it did involve the children and the young people were involved in it. I come from a generation where children were to be seen and not heard. So to have a charity that looked at kids as people and respected them, it meant a lot to me especially. And that's when we really wanted to get involved and said, no, we got to move this forward. Let's go forward. I'm so excited about standing beside Ed and Susanna and sharing their vision. I mean, their vision is so phenomenal. And each time we help one child know they're not alone, it just means a lot. My son was bullied in school, and as I said, I came from a background of perhaps that you didn't have a voice. And so any child that we can help, that's where my husband and I are at, right with Ed and Susie.
Well, that's great. And before we came on the air, I said that's what's going to make a difference, and it absolutely is. I attended my first fashion show with you guys this year, and tears in my eyes. The people that I was with there, tears in their eyes, and you can't help but be overcome with emotions. And for the listeners who haven't been there, this isn't just a catwalk fashion show. This is something bigger than that. There are other aspects to it. Could you talk a little bit about what the fashion show entails?
Sure. So we really, a couple of things. First, the fashion show is about kids of all shapes, sizes, diversity, and everything. So it's not just what they look like, but also what they're wearing. So they're representing styles like goth and preppy and sporty and, all those types of clothing that these kids wear.
All inclusive.
Exactly, yeah. All inclusive. And it's not just about the fashions, but it's also the fashion show. We also do what we call performances, where we act out bullying instances within the schools or outside of school that kids, they go through. And that's, I think, where we enlighten the audience to what they probably don't know or maybe don't necessarily remember.
Right.
Because again, bullying is not just, hasn't been, it just didn't come up yesterday.
It's not a new thing, no.
Exactly.
No, but the difference between then and now is when you were bullied in school, you could go home and feel safe.
Right.
With cyberbullying, kids go to school, they come out of school, it follows them home,
Yep.
It's in their home, it's coming at them from all aspects of the social media.
Right.
So their tormentors, they don't get away from that.
Yep.
And this is where we see so many young people that just, as you say, Susie, are afraid to talk about it, whether they'll be bullied more, they'll be a rat, or whatever.
Right.
And we've had some high-profile suicides, and we certainly don't want that to happen anymore.
Right.
And that's what the fashion show is really doing. It's really enlightening the audience and the kids actually as well, because some of the kids that are on the catwalk, whether they're in performances or, representing styles, seeing other experiences or hearing about other experiences that kids go through can help them understand how to be that one person to make a difference.
Yep.
I had a couple of kids. I remember the first, after the first show, I had a couple of kids come up to me and just give me a big hug, and they were crying, and I'm like, what? And they're like, you have no clue what you've just done for us. I'm like, we didn't do anything. And they're like, yes, you did. You helped us understand. And, one of the girls in particular, she said to me, she actually called me a couple of weeks afterwards. She said to me, she goes, you know what I did the day after the fashion show? She goes, I went to school and I made new friends. Mm-hmm. I made friends with kids that are not within my group, so to speak. She goes, because I didn't realize that not being friendly to them was a form of bullying.
Right. Yeah.
She goes, I made a difference. She goes, I went into that school and decided to be different and make new friends. Now, just that one girl saying that to me was enough for me to say, okay, let's do the show again.
Yep, absolutely.
Let's do it again.
And that was so much fun for us as adults because the kids, we had 31 schools involved, and the kids were from schools all over in Massachusetts and Connecticut. And to see how these kids bonded, who you would think this one wouldn't bond with that one or whatever, how these kids bonded with each other and made, I think, lifelong friends was so wonderful for us as adults to see.
It brings it back to the point that you started with, where you were saying that this generation, these kids don't get they get a bad rap because they're because of technology, which there's pros and cons to everything.
Absolutely.
And the cons of the technology makes this generation look like they're not not respectful or anything like that. But in fact, if you think about it, this generation is the most open-minded, most accepting generation there ever was.
Yep.
Okay?
And people are putting things out there that they wouldn't necessarily put out there in the past. The fact that people are willing to share their sexual orientation or anything else like that out online, that's outstanding. Right. It's great that people, even if they aren't comfortable enough to say it in person, people will come out online or, different situations like that, or associate with a group only if they're online. Mm-hmm. The fact that they have a safe place to go where they have other friends and they can make friends that are online friends from across the country or around the globe, that's where it really comes into play.
Exactly.
And I think that what we can offer, not just with Unify Against Bullying, but, with us as adults, with our open minds, is to offer them platforms on learning how to interact with this technology. With Unify Against Bullying, the fact that cyberbullying is a part of our discussions, and we talk about how it's negative and how you can make it more positive. I think that is what we are supposed to be doing, is not ridiculing our children and saying, oh, don't do that. Instead, wow, we should be doing this. Let's go this way.
Yep.
Let's talk about how we can be positive.
Absolutely.
Hashtag positivity.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you.
Exactly.
So the first fashion show, how many attendees?
So our first fashion show was 250 people at the Log Cabin, and I want to do a quick shout out to the Log Cabin because Peter and his crew are amazing. And they just,
generous.
I can't even say enough. Generous and just whatever. They were just amazing. So 250 people our first year.
Yep. And then this year it grew to how big?
Yeah. So 2016 was our second year. and it grew to 650 people. And that is the max, at least that's what Peter tells us. Yep. So 2017, again, we were able to bring it to 650 guests. We sold out. Actually, this year in 2017, we sold out 7 weeks ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I know that was one of the issues, was that people couldn't, unless you really knew about it ahead of time, you couldn't get tickets for it. This wasn't something like, hey, I'm going to this fashion show. Okay, I'll get some tickets. This was, you had to plan well ahead of time for this.
We had a wait list
which
of
is
200.
A great problem. Yeah.
We had a wait list of 200, which we stopped because we couldn't take anymore.
So I will give you a heads up right now for those of you that are interested in joining us next year. The date is May 15th, 2018. That's our next fashion show.
We will be at the Log Cabin again.
We will be at the Log Cabin, yes.
Obviously, we've outgrown that. And for 2019, we're definitely looking at other
maybe
venues.
The Mass Mutual Center.
Well,
we'll
who
see.
knows? We have thoughts.
Yes.
So
we have a vision.
Yes.
You certainly do. I've heard a lot of your ideas. One of the ways that you guys have been spreading the word about Unify is through the Selfie Challenge. Touch on that a little bit.
So again, one of the things about this organization that is really important, that it's the children, or I don't want to say children because they're not,
kids.
Not kids, but they're
teenagers.
not young. Yeah, they're teenagers. It's the kids of Unify that really motivate us, and they move us forward. So honestly, I don't remember how it came up. I think there was a discussion about, wow, wouldn't it be a great way to somehow do a positive promotion online with Unify Against Bullying and how to, talk about bullying and whatnot. And then somebody talked, I think, about the ALS. The Ice Bucket Challenge.
Okay.
So that's, I think, where the Selfie Challenge came into play. We were like, well, what if we did some sort of a selfie challenge where we challenged others to talk about, or just to bring awareness to the silence of bullying? Because really, when it comes to bullying, there is a silence associated with it. Kids don't talk about it. Parents don't hear about it. And the administration can only do so much about it. So it really is, there's a silence associated with bullying. So that's how the Selfie Challenge was born. So we were talking about it with the kids, and we decided, well, what if we were able to do a challenge where we were able to get all 50 states and 50 countries to do it in 50 days. And the kids were like, let's get this done. Let's do this, So that's where the Unify Selfie Challenge, we called the 50-50-50 Challenge, came into fruition. And we started at October 1st, because October is as well as Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
And
it is also National Bullying Prevention Month.
Right.
I want to make sure I say
and a lot of the
right.
schools do events in October.
They do.
Based around that. And now a lot of the schools, including Birchland Park, where the first #Positivity Day was held, they're doing things throughout the year to reinforce those lessons about anti-bullying.
They are. So last year, right, October of 2017. 2016. Sorry.
That's okay.
Sometimes I don't remember what year we're in. October 1st of 2016, we launched the 50-50-50 Challenge, and it ended November 19th, which was 50 days later. On the last day of November 19th, of the last day of our 50-50-50 Challenge, we were waiting on one more state.
I think it was Idaho.
I was going to say the same thing. It was Idaho. There was a young lady in the hospital who was just about to go under surgery, and she posted her selfie challenge from her
hospital bed.
Her hospital bed.
Oh wow, that's
last
great.
day.
The last day. We had the funny part was we thought, 50 states, that'll be easy. Right? But honestly, we were able to get 56 countries before we got
the 50 states.
Exactly.
Wow.
The 50th state came in on the last day.
Yeah.
But it was just so inspiring to see kids from all over, and not just kids, but parents too.
Parents of the children. And to rewind a little bit, when you mentioned that there is a silence about this, I think that's why everyone at the fashion show becomes so emotional, because these parents, the kids aren't always going home and telling them what's going on, but when they see this, a real life scenario play out on the stage at the fashion show, that hits you, and that's really impactful.
Think of the conversations that happen happened with those
on the
families
ride home.
on the ride
Absolutely.
home with those children and parents.
Yep.
I never found out my son was bullied. He was bullied at 11. I never found out till he was 17 years old.
Yep.
As a mom, that's really painful.
It is.
I just felt that I wasn't there for him in some way.
You feel like, as a parent, when your child doesn't tell you and you find something out, you feel like you failed them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And, everybody says there's a rite of passage and stuff like that kids have to go through. We get that. But no kid needs to feel like they're completely alone.
Absolutely.
To the point that, some children think that the only way they can get out of it is by hurting themselves or doing something even worse, committing suicide. And that's where we need that voice. We need to let them know that the silence is not necessary and that they do have, they do. We talk about it. We say that you're never going to get rid of a bully. You're never going to get rid of it.
Right.
But can we make it uncool?
Absolutely.
Can we help kids understand they're not alone?
Yep.
Yeah.
And give kids a group to feel comfortable in.
Absolutely.
You're never going to get away from that. Like you said, you're going to have one group, the goths versus the preppies and,
sports kids.
But again, it's a group. You're still included in some sort of group. And when you're singled out, absolutely, that's really, really tough on kids, and that's where things go down a really dark path for them. So this year's Selfie Challenge.
Yes. Okay. So
kicked it up a notch.
Yes, we did. We did kick it up a notch. We decided we were going to do a Selfie Challenge where we were going to ask 50 celebrities to join us. So October 1st, we're going to put out our official call out to all our celebrities. We already have about a good 25 celebrities who have participated, such as Chris Evans, Captain America.
Yep.
He did that. He did the first Selfie Challenge with my daughter. She was really excited. We had
Governor Baker.
He
Finn
did the
Jones.
Selfie. Finn Jones from the Defenders of the Marvel.
Yep.
And we had quite a few, for those of you who are fans of Walking Dead, we had quite a few celebrities from the Walking Dead show do the Selfie Challenge.
Zach Braff from Scrubs.
Exactly. We had, what's the other show? It's so. I mean, there's so many great celebrities that have already participated.
So many we're working on too that it's like.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty of social media and Facebook, Instagram, and everybody knows somebody. So even if you just put the call out there and it falls down the line of people, it'll come back. And it sounds like there's already a really good jump start on this.
Yes,
so I have no doubt that it'll.
But you know what? There's never we want that 50, but wouldn't it be great to get more than 50?
Keep it going, right?
Exactly.
Yep.
Because you know what?
Don't limit yourselves.
No, and not only that, because growing up, kids always look up to certain people, and wouldn't it be great for a kid to see their favorite celebrity do something that has meaning to them?
Right.
Yeah.
So outside of the fashion show, you guys have some other events that you're going to do, and these events are fundraisers of sorts to you give out scholarships or grants, and that goes back out to groups who are doing things associated with bullying, and that helps to fund other projects, just sort of broadening your reach.
Yes.
Now, what are some of the other projects that you have coming up?
Well, actually, we have a cut-a-thon, which is going to be Saturday, October 21st, and we're hoping for 10 salons in the area to be involved. Kelly Murphy from the Cutting Edge Salon in Feeding Hills, it was her idea last year, and she did the first cut-a-thon and raised a good amount of money for Unify, which, as you know, Jason, being one of our grant recipients, what we do is we have the fashion show and other functions. We raise the funds. Then we're able to give them to folks, individual grants to folks like yourself for your anti-bullying initiatives. In this way, we spread it through the schools and through the communities for the young people.
Yep, and there are so many different. So this year there were 10 grant recipients.
Yes.
And each one of those people
Yes.
or groups is doing a different project. So
Yes.
it's not everybody doing the same thing, and that's how you get the word out even more. And I certainly appreciate the grant. I was so proud to be one of the recipients and working with you guys up to this point. It's really awesome, the things that you're doing.
And
I'm
we're
glad
very
to be
proud of
helping.
you and what you've done
Absolutely.
with your hashtag positivity.
I appreciate
You're what
that.
Unify is all about, to get that
Exactly.
message out to the young people that they don't have to be alone and you can turn things around and not be negative and be positive. We gave a grant to a preschool teacher that did an upgrade on a STEP program that taught anti-bullying and relationship building and kindness to the preschools. We gave high school students grants. So elementary school students and like yourself going into Birchland Park Middle School and doing your hashtag positivity program. And we look forward to seeing more of that with the coming year and so forth. So we thank all those that have supported us in the fashion show and our cut-a-thons and other avenues, business people who have donated with sponsorships, and we just thank the whole community because they've certainly embraced Unify Against Bullying.
We just had a gentleman who he was putting on a golf tournament, and he says, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to bring in, but I'm going to bring in something, and I'm going to donate it to Unify Against Bullying.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
In 3 weeks, he put this together. He purchased the pub in South Windsor, and within 3 weeks, they said, well, we do a golf tournament. You got to do a golf tournament. Well, he just loves Unify Against Bullying and our message, so in 3 weeks, he put this golf tournament together, and he donated a very nice check to us for Unify. So next year, August 12th, it was this year, hopefully in August next year, we'll be able to be more involved and certainly be able to market that event for him to help him.
But those are the type of events that we do or that are done for us because we actually have people that are like, okay, I just want to be able to find a way to raise money for Unify Against Bullying. So they'll put on, like this gentleman, they'll just put on an event themselves and then come up with the money
the
to...
Kohl's stores, Kohl's, Kohl's Cares.
Right.
We were able to connect with the manager at the Kohl's in West Springfield, Sarah Goff, who is now actually on our board of directors. And Kohl's Cares, every time we have a function, they have their associates volunteer. And because Kohl's is so community orientated, that they allow those folks to come and volunteer for us. And we get a grant every time they come. So it's just been phenomenal. We have another event coming up September 30th at the Eastfield Mall, the Old Navy store. They're doing a safety event in their store, and Unify will have a table there, and their associates will help us out, and they'll be donating a grant or some money to us for that.
That's great. And a lot of these stores donate clothing, too, for the fashion show. That's
absolutely.
correct.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Yeah, those are all...
Susie, you could speak to that. Yeah.
Those are all the stores... They loan them to us, and the kids are able to. Well, we make an event of it. Actually,
Yes.
it's quite fun.
It's fun.
Yeah, where the kids, we go with the kids to the stores, and we help them pick out outfits and everything, and they have a blast. And and Kohl's was a big part of it, as were the stores of Holyoke Mall. They every year for the past 3 years have been fantastic.
Yep.
We had Macy's. We had. Oh my goodness!
Oh, I
you have to
know.
excuse me. It's been once the fashion show was done. My head
I know. We're focused on so many
that's
other
okay.
things.
Don't worry about it.
But we had a lot of great stores out of the Holyoke Mall. That
Windsor,
helped us out.
the Windsor
Yep.
store.
Yep. The Windsor store helped us out. Yeah.
Well, that's just like playing dress up on basically an unlimited scale for these kids that are involved.
We have a
they
blast.
must love that.
The fashion show committee. We love going with the young people, anyways, because they're so stylish and they just embrace the whole fashion show and the aspect of it. And
I can't tell you enough about how many kids I get texts from, calls from, emails from, saying, what can I do? When's your next event? When can I volunteer?
Yeah.
What can I do? I want to do, anything. I have a young girl that I just met with the other day through our studio, and she's a fashion designer. She's going to be going to fashion school in New York, and she said to me, she goes, I would love to come up with a dress of sorts or whatever for the show next year. And I was like, wow. I mean, these kids really want to be part of it.
Yeah.
That's really, really great.
because of the
want to be part of
message.
it.
So how about the reach so far? you have kids in school, a couple of the different schools in town.
I do.
And do you hear from them? Is it gaining momentum in the schools? Do you hear much about that, or do they kind of hush when they come home about it?
No, actually, the kids are pretty good about it. My kids, so I have 4 children, ranging from the ages of 22 to 11, and the older one, obviously, he's a great part of helping us with Unify. The other 3 are 2 are in high school and 1 is in the middle school at Birchland, and they find a way to bring the message on their own to the schools. My daughter, Juliana, in fact, she last year, when she was in 8th grade, went to the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade kids, and she did a whole presentation to the kids about the Unify Selfie Challenge, and it was pretty inspirational to watch her.
Yeah.
She came up to us, to my husband and I, and she's like, "Okay, this is what I want to do." And my husband, of course, both of us are Type A personalities. We're like, "Oh, well, let's." And she's like, "No. I'm doing this on my own. I'm writing this on my own." And that's when my husband and I are like, "You know what? That's right. It has to be her voice."
Yep.
And it was fantastic. I sat in the back of the room and cried because I was just so impressed and so inspired by my own daughter. And what was even more inspirational is that she told me a little story where she said about 2 weeks later, she was with her friends at the local Dunkin' Donuts in town in East Longmeadow, and this mom came up to her and said, "Are you the young lady that talked to my daughter at the school?" And my daughter was like, "Yes." She was kind of hesitating because she wasn't sure about, well, was this good?
What's
or was
coming?
It bad? No. And she said to my daughter, she said, "Thank you." She goes, "My little one has not stopped talking about you." And she came home and she wanted to do the selfie challenge, and she did it with my phone, and she wanted to have all the family members do it. And she goes, "But you know what? You helped us start a dialogue."
Good. Oh, that's how you know it really means something, that the kids are taking ownership in it themselves and trying to spread the message on their own level amongst their friends. That really shows that it's something that needs to be done. You have someone else now that you've been speaking to, a princess, in fact. I saw on the social media that you guys were just visiting with someone out in New York.
Yes.
So who did you go to see down there?
I'm going to let Chris talk about this because Chris is amazing. She was the one who helped us get to this princess. Yes.
Oh, yes. Well, MarieChantal, she's the crown princess of Greece. She also owns MarieChantal children's clothing lines. It's a global company. And she moved to New York. She has a store on Madison Avenue in New York. She has 5 children of her own, and she's very much into children. And she just loved the idea of Unify Against Bullying. We have a international journalist, Fava, out of Iceland, who is so much a proponent for Unify. She ended up sending out an email to all the royals that she knew, and MarieChantal, Princess MarieChantal, was the one that responded that she would like to be our patron. So Edward and Susanna, the founders of Unify, my husband Werner and I, and their daughter Juliana, who's an incredible young woman and spokeswoman for Unify, and is what we're all about, we all went to Long Island and met the princess at a restaurant there by her home in Long Island. She's very interested in Unify. She had some great suggestions for us, and I'm actually, I just set up a conference call with her for Monday, the 11th at 11 o'clock. Going forward, who knows, you might see her visiting here in Massachusetts.
Might be at our next fashion show.
There's one thing that we were thinking about when we were going to go there about our big dream for Unify and so forth, and I had come up with, we may speak different languages around the world, but bullying is understood by everyone. And this is something that MarieChantal has traveled all over the world and lived in several places. And it's no matter who you are or what level of the world you're on, no one has been untouched by bullying.
Right. It's a global epidemic.
Yes.
At some level.
Yeah.
And that'll be great to have her as a spokesperson. If she comes on board, or even just being aware of it, she's going to help to spread that word even more.
She absolutely is. I mean, her contacts, she lived in London for a long time, and
15 years.
she's worked there with all kinds of folks there, and so we're really excited about that. That's going to be kind of the next
our next project,
global initiative for us, because right from the beginning, Ed and Susanna's vision was to be a global organization, and I see the fruition of that coming, especially with the coming on board of Princess MarieChantal.
Yeah,
we're really excited
amazing.
about it. It is amazing, and that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about being part of this, and them letting me come along to
letting you come along,
help lead right along with Susanna.
I was gonna say, Chris was an integral part of why we got to the princess.
Well, it's no doubt amazing work that you're doing. Again, Ed, who couldn't be here tonight. Yes. Unbelievable
visionary.
Work.
Yeah. Such a visionary.
Yep.
I have so much respect for this young couple, because to me they're young, but I just admire them so much and what they've started, and I'm really excited about going forward, and all of us and everything we're doing. You, Jason, with your hashtag positivity, that there is so much negative in the world, and that hopefully we can bring that positivity and let those children know that they are not alone. There is someone there for them.
Yep. And I appreciate your support. It doesn't go unnoticed, all of the things that you guys are doing. Where can people go to donate or learn more about Unify Against Bullying?
Well, they can definitely go to our website, unifyagainstbullying.org. There's ways to donate right through there. Definitely, I would say, to all of the listeners, I would have you all participate in the Selfie Challenge and challenge your favorite celebrity. And don't give up. Don't take no for an answer. Let's bring awareness to this, and also challenge your friends, challenge your family, because I think it's important that it's brought out into the open to everybody, that everybody's made aware of of the silence of bullying. And definitely follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Snapchat. Then you'll get to see a lot of the different things we're doing, the different events. It's going to be 2017 into 2018 is going to be an exciting year for Unify Against Bullying.
And if anyone knows Ellen DeGeneres, please email me at cm@unifyagainstbullying.org, because we have something special that we're looking forward on October 1st at the start of the National Anti-Bullying Month, that we want to challenge Ellen to do a selfie for us. So if anyone knows
that would be great. Someone out there listening must know someone.
Well, that's what I'm
somewhere
thinking.
Down the line of contact. So I hope that we can get you guys in touch with her.
That would be wonderful.
Susanna, Chris, thanks so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk with me today. Again, I appreciate your support as being one of the grant recipients, and the things that you're doing are really going to make a difference. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much, Jason. The same to you. What you're doing is making a difference, and thank you for taking that grant and running with it. We appreciate it. Absolutely.
It was my pleasure. Guys, thanks so much for tuning into the podcast today. Be sure to check out unifyagainstbullying.org. Have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time.
Thanks so much for listening to the Hashtag Positivity Podcast. Online at hashtagpositivity.org, on Facebook at Hashtag Positivity, and Instagram, the official Hashtag Positivity. If you liked the episode, please rate and review. And remember, positivity is contagious. Sprinkle that madness everywhere. We'll catch you next time.